Honorable Speaker, sir,
Yes, please.
I rise to speak on the Carriage of Goods by Sea Bill 2024, which seeks to reenact the Indian Carriage of Goods by Sea Act 1925. The bill is significant as it aims to align Indian maritime law with international standards, particularly the Brussels Convention, and addresses the responsibilities, liabilities, rights, immunities, and related to the carriage of goods by sea. While modernization of legislation is necessary to keep pace with global trade dynamics, there are several concerns that needed to be addressed before this bill can be passed. Sir, one of the primary concerns is the lack of adequate protection for shippers and consignees. While the bill outlines the rights of immunities of carriers, Section 4 stands out as it does not impose a strong enough commitment on carriers regarding the seaworthiness of the ship. Sir, another issue arises from Section 7, which deals with bulk cargo weight declaration in the bill of lading. While industry customs are considered, the bill does not sufficiently address the risk associated with discrepancies in weight declaration. So, Section 9 of the bill empowers the central government to amend the schedule by issuing notification. While flexibility is important, this provision grants the government unchecked powers to make amendments without adequate consultation with industry stakeholders. This could lead to arbitrary decisions that may not reflect the interest of all the parties involved in the carriage of goods. Sir, while aligning with international standards, it is important for India's global trade as we ensure that the interests of our domestic shipping industries are protected. The bill could unintentionally disadvantage the Indian carriers, making it more difficult for them to compete in the global market. The exceptions under the Merchant Shipping Act 1958 should be reviewed to allow Indian carriers to engage effectively in international trade. So while the repeal of the Indian Carriage of Goods by Sea Act 1925 is necessary to modernize our laws, we must be cautious about the potential implications for contract and rights established under the old Act. Although Section 12 ensures that the repeal will not affect actions taken under the 1925 Act, we should ensure that this transition does not disadvantage smaller players or entitled with limited resources in the maritime industry. Sir, particularly contentious provisions in the bill in the limitation on the liability of carriers. The bill caps the carrier liability of goods for lost or damage to 666.67 special drawing rights per package or unit or 2 special drawing rights per kilogram of gross weight, whichever is higher. While the international conventions have set these limits, they may be insufficient for the high value cargoes. So the bill introduced the possibility of carriers and shippers entering into special agreement to limit the carrier's responsibility and liabilities. While flexibility can be beneficial, such agreement must not entertain the protections intended by the existing law. There is a risk that such agreement could lead to unfair terms. So, Speaker, sir, while the bill provides some safeguard against loss or damages arising from negligence, inheritance defects, and other causes, these provisions need to be strengthened. It's believed that the current safeguard may not be sufficient, particularly as India's role in global trade continues to expand. So, Speaker, sir, I would like to draw an attention to the fact that my Kanyakumari constituency has a significant number of marine engineers working abroad in merchant ships. This is an industry where the vast portion of our workforce has excelled and continues to contribute significantly to India's maritime sector. In line with this bill aimed to meet international standards, I urge the government to also create more employment opportunities within the maritime sector, particularly for our talented youths. So, Kanyakumari constituents of fishermen who depend on fishing on the livelihood, many of these fishermen are engaged in fishing boats that are often involved in accidents with merchant ships in the middle of the sea. These accidents lead to significant damage to fishing boats. Unfortunately, the fishermen are unable to claim compensations for these losses and injuries. I request the Honourable Minister to address the issue through this bill. Fishermen are crucial to our economy and their livelihood should be protected. We might create provisions within the bill that ensures fishermen who suffer losses due to accidents with merchant ships receive inadequate compensation. Sir, Speaker, sir, the increasing centralization of power in India has raised concerns about the erosion of federalism and the autonomy of key institutions. The central government's growing influence over bodies like ED, CBI, Judiciary and the Election Commission undermines their independence. Additionally, the centralization of power in areas like RBI, GST management, national education policies diminishes the state autonomy. This concentration of power risks weakening the balance of federalism, making it harder for states to address local needs effectively. Protecting the autonomy of institutions and ensuring a fair federal structure is crucial for India's democratic integrity. In the conclusion, while the Carriage of Goods by Sea Bill 2024 is a step forward in modernization of maritime law, we must address several critical concerns to ensure that the bill does not inadvertently harm Indian traders, industries and the domestic shipping sector. So the government must carefully consider the potential risk to domestic industries and the implications for stakeholders, ensuring that the final bill is balanced and serves the interest of all parties involved. I urge the government to engage more effectively with industry stakeholders and ensure that the final legislation is both comprehensive and fair. We seek a bill that moderates the law while protecting Indian interests in global trade. Thank you, sir.
Sagar Khandre.
Thank you, Chairperson, sir, for allowing me to talk on the carriage of goods by sea bills. Firstly, any bill or act that is brought out needs to define everything correctly so there is no confusion. Here, this bill does not define the word port, which will cause legal disputes tomorrow. So, along with that, there is no mechanism established to address dispute resolution, whether alternate means of dispute resolution is available or not. This bill needs to address how the government is going to deal with maritime disputes, sir. Along with that, there is also no penalties mentioned in the bill. This bill disadvantages shippers in a lot of ways, Chairperson, sir. I would like to elaborate on that. Article 3, Clause 9 says that a benefit of insurance or similar clause shall be deemed to be a clause relieving the carrier of any liability, which means that if any goods are damaged and if there is any such clause which is similar to a benefit of insurance, and even if the insurance company does not pay the shipper, the carrier is not held liable. In Article 4, Clause 2A, the carrier will not be responsible for loss or damage arising from act, neglect or default of the master, mariner, pilot or the servants of the carrier in the navigation or management of the ship. This means to say that where in a lot of other cases vicarious liability is applied, sir, where there is principal agent relationship. However, in this case, even if the staff of the carrier end up damaging the goods, if there is any mismanagement on their part, the carrier does not have any liability, where the shipper is again disadvantaged, sir. Now, Article 6, sir, we all know how important bill of lading is when it comes to carriage of goods by sea. However, there are special conditions in Article 6 that say that bill of lading is not needed, and the provisos in this are also very vague, sir. Article 7 says that the parties, that is shipper and carrier, are free to make their own agreements, sir, without being subjected to the rules of this Act. However, the whole point of this Act is to ensure that there is a standard, uniform structure. Sir, give me, sir, I have 5 minutes, sir. I had 5 minutes. Sir,
Please conclude.
Sir, so Article 7, the whole point of the Act is to ensure that there is a standard structure for establishing responsibilities, liabilities, rights and immunities for carrier. However, this article goes against the very object and reasons mentioned in the Act, sir. Finally, sir, there is also no provision for transport. When there's transport of illegal goods, there's no mention of that itself in this Act, sir. This needs to be looked into, as there is a lot of drug menace in the country, sir. So I hope the Minister also mentions this. Thank you, sir.
Thank you. Mallu Ravi ji, sirf 1 minute, please. बाद में reply होगा. 1 minute, please.
Thank you, Speaker sir, for giving me a chance to speak on this carriage of goods by sea bill. Just for 1 minute I want to talk. Premchandra told about this bill I am supporting for one reason, that is from colonial period to free independent India, this bill is brought. But, you know, for changing anything on the rules, the government is given chance to change the bill rules, not bringing to the notice of the Parliament, which I am opposing. This is what I want to tell you. Any change, if they want to bring, let it be brought to the notice of the Parliament, then bring a change to the rules.
Dean Kozi.
Thank you, sir, for getting this opportunity to participate in this very important private member resolution moved by Honorable Member Sri Shafi Parambil. Many of the members share their bottom views in this particular matter. Honorable Member Rajiv Pratap Rudiji enlightened us about the plight of these airfares. Sir, even though every single member of this House united and stands in this particular matter to reduce the airfare, our concern about this government's attitude. This government didn't take any proactive steps to solve this issue. Sir, our experience, Honorable Member Shafi moved this resolution almost 1 year before. But except that the recommendation from Standing Committee of Civil Aviation, nothing has happened here. That is quite unfortunate, sir. The major demand is we are requesting for a reasonable fixation of the charges. But, sir, we can understand about the profit making, but we can't accept the looting and exploitation in this regard. Sir, this discussion started in the basis of the plight of international passengers, especially the NRI communities. They are contributing a lot to our nation. But along with that, it is affecting domestic passengers also, sir. Sir, I had a bitter experience in the last session. In between our session period, I traveled to Kochi in an Indigo flight in the rate above 35,000 rupees. How can we imagine, sir? Sir, can we imagine about in a short distance from Kochi to Trivandrum, in sometimes airfare is about 10,000, 15,000. That is going on. Sir, we have to take immediate steps to control this huge airfare. Sir, our Prime Minister, he is very vocal about his love for the NRI community, but when it comes to doing something concretely for our NRI brothers and sisters, this government more often than not does anything in its power to squeeze every ounce of the last penny from the hard-earned savings of our NRIs. Sir, while we are very proud of our NRIs who have achieved positions of fame and privilege as a result of their professional background or due to their sheer business acumen, it is a moral duty of the government to take care of the blue-collar workers who go from India to other countries, especially the GCC countries, so that their families can have a better standard of living back home. Sir, as per an RBI survey published in the RBI Bulletin of March 2025, it reports that India's remittance from the GCC countries were increasing when compared to the advanced economies, particularly the US, the UK, Singapore, Canada, and Australia in the year 23-24. So the GCC countries, especially UAE, Saudi Arabia, Kuwait, Qatar, Oman, and Bahrain, together contributed 38% to total remittance received by India in the year 23-24, higher than its share recorded in the year 2021. Sir, it is high time the government decides to take concrete steps to ensure that airfare pricing is not exploitative in the name of market dynamics, both for domestic as well as international airfares. Sir, in yesterday's reply, in a start question number 384 particularly, in this House, Honorable Minister had stated, when asked about RCS Udan in parts B to F, that scheme provides financial incentives to airline operators on regional routes that includes concessions by the central government, state governments, union territories and airport operators to reduce airline operation cost and also the viability gap funding to bridge the gap between operational costs and expected revenues on such routes so as to make air travel affordable under the scheme. Sir, I am not going through the entire answers. Sir, in the last, Honorable Minister stated that the fares on any route are dependent inter alia on seasonality, holidays and festivals, cost of aviation, tribune fuel, competition and other similar factors. Airline pricing runs in multiple levels which are in line with the practice being followed globally, and due to dynamic fare pricing, the tickets bought in advance are much cheaper than those purchased near the travel date. The government does not regulate the commercial fares set by airlines, Indian or foreign. Sir, this is the reply yesterday we saw. Sir, I would like to recall my colleague Shafi's submission while introducing this resolution on 26/7/2024. The case of differential pricing of the same ticket on the same route. Sir, the off-season ticket price was 19,000 rupees, but the peak season price was 77,000 price. Sir, can say this is pricing through dynamics of marketing price or dynamics of market and driven by algorithms. Sir, Honorable Minister is very young. He is a technical man. Everybody accepting that. And he is a good friend of everyone. Sir, but we know that Honorable Minister understanding the nuances of clinches terms like dynamic pricing, AI-driven market scenario algorithms, etc., more than any other minister in this cabinet. Sir, we also do not doubt about the sincerity of Honorable Minister in this matter and the human approach also. Sir, when it comes to addressing the humanitarian requirements and requests from MPs, he is also considering that. Sir, but the issue is still impending, sir. Sir, I would request you to at least implement the recommendation of the Parliamentary Standing Committee's 375th report, the demands for grants 25-26, the present demands for grants of ministry. They recommended that the DGCA be empowered with quasi-judicial authority to impose temporary price caps or penalties on airlines engaging in exploitative practices. Sir, it can be adopted, sir. Sir, if the government is serious about helping our NRI brothers and sisters, and especially the ordinary blue-collar workers, the ministry should suo motu take cognizance of the instances of the exploitative pricing of airfare and refer the cases to the Competition Commission of India with the strict terms of reference, which includes to evaluate the dynamics of market pricing, the cartel behavior of the airline companies and mechanics of peak season pricing, sir. I am sure that the concrete facts will emerge and it would force the airline companies to have a more human and compassionate approach. Sir, we are not asking for a charity thing or any discount. All we are asking is the government to take steps and prevent exploitation in the name of market dynamics and other clinch terms. Sir, I hope this ministry will take concrete steps by the entire House consensus. They can do it well and the steps towards that direction and make efforts to bring a smile to face of the families of our NRI families, sir. Thank you very much.
माननीय सदस्य श्रीमती जेबी माथेर हिसम.
Thank you, Vice Chairman, for the opportunity. As the private members bill revolves around technology, I wish to start by remembering the one and only father of technology revolution, the architect of digital India and telecommunication revolution, our former Prime Minister Rajiv Gandhi. Many years ago, when technology was not a term which was much used, Rajiv Gandhi had the vision to think and to implement technology mission. And Rajiv Gandhi's focus was to integrate technology to lives of the people. Rajiv Gandhi incorporated through this technology mission how people's lives can be changed for the better. Rajiv Gandhi took the steps, be it immunization, be it agriculture, be it getting telephone to every ordinary Indian citizens, and most important of all, computer of what we see today the credit definitely goes to Rajiv Gandhi. My esteemed colleagues at the Treasury benches, Brijlal ji and all can go on and on and on. They can scream, they can go to the hills of Himachal, they can speak in the valleys of Northeast. But the fact remains, father of digital India and telecommunication remains Rajiv Gandhi. Madam, now coming to artificial intelligence. We live in a very exciting time and also in a very worrisome time. Exciting time because what we have these days, everything is at our fingertips. Now, whatever we require, first thing, earlier, we used to think of asking our friend, we used to think of asking our parents, children used to think of asking parents, but we have reached a point of time which we have to accept that first we tend to ask, or this generation tend to ask ChatGPT. Many a times, many of us, while listening to any conversation, when we ask, okay, so whose suggestion was it? Let us not be surprised when they say it was not the suggestion of father, mother, brother, friend, and it is a suggestion of ChatGPT. I am saying that to bring in how important these have become. Madam, but that is the exciting part of artificial intelligence. But I wish to say, in a recent interview, Bill Gates has said, with artificial intelligence, the white-collar jobs are going to come down heavily. And also, the jobs which involve sweat may continue for a while. That exactly is where our concerns are coming. In a country with a 45-year-old high unemployment rate already, in spite of the BJP's and Modi ji's 2 crore jobs per year and all the heavy promises, which definitely goes without being taken care of. In a country where the youth is wandering with degrees in hand, where they are not able to find jobs, where they are running away from the country to elsewhere, going in search of jobs, when postgraduates line up in thousands and thousands for jobs, in a country where even those educated are not finding jobs at the moment, present, what is going to happen with the coming of artificial intelligence is the biggest question and the worry. That is from the point of view of youth. As a voice of Indian youth, I wish to ask, does this government have any plan to address the issue with the coming of artificial intelligence? Example, private PAs, personal assistants, the jobs are going to be cut down. What is the government? Do you have any plan? Does the government think of it? We have not seen the government thinking so far, but it is our duty to repeatedly say that please wake up from deep slumber and think about the youth of this country who is hoping, who has lost all hopes, but who is at least hoping someday they will find some job. Now, madam, the second worry is definitely the security part of artificial intelligence. Everything is very glossy, everything is very bright, everything is very nice. But when it comes to security, there is total privacy breach which is going to happen to all Indians if the government is not careful enough what's going to happen with artificial intelligence. Whether anybody's privacy can be intruded, whether one wishes something to be said or shown, whether somebody can intrude, all that is an issue which matters to every Indian, which the government should be concerned with the coming of artificial intelligence. Madam, another thing which I wish to say is again about the democracy itself at stake. Why I am saying democracy itself will be at stake by the intrusion of artificial intelligence, that there's a worry definitely. Why? Because chronology samjhiye. क्या है? What is the chronology? What we have seen from 2014? What are we seeing? The fourth pillar of democracy, media, seems to be captured by the ruling dispensation. Whether it's national, whether it's regional, there's a total capturing of that. Where is free democracy? Those who raise voices against the ruling dispensation are being jailed. Now today, Supreme Court of India had to quash our esteemed colleague, our Imran Pratap Gadiji's one case, FIR against him. Why? Because one of the poems was against him filed. There is total breach of freedom of expression. So, from the point of view of democracy under peril, definitely our media is captured initially, first. Then what we are seeing, social media is captured. Social media is being captured. The algorithms, God knows, we don't know what is the understanding, what is the intervention, what people they wish to see, only that is being shown. What people don't want to, what the government don't want people to see, that is not being shown. So social media stands captured. Social media stands captured. Now we fear electoral IDs, voter list, that is being captured. Innumerable. We have the case of Maharashtra, where more than the actual voters, there is more number in the list. So there's how voting itself can be in peril.
माननीय सदस्य कृपया आपस में बात न करें.
Madam, thank you. Madam, another worry of democracy in peril is definitely with the coming of artificial intelligence, with the ruling dispensation trying to inject what they want to inject, which they have been using in WhatsApp through WhatsApp universities, which we are facing now. That is one part. But with artificial intelligence, if it is manipulated in such a way, they would want the people to think in a manner which only the number one and number two wish the people of India to think. That is the biggest danger that can happen. What will happen if the extreme thoughts from the Nagpur is injected into the artificial intelligence of the apps? What will happen? Who will control? All these other things where democracy itself can be under peril, madam. So, what we are worried is when Kartikeya Sharma ji is definitely urging for an institute a council for future affairs. Now, ED is under the control of the ruling dispensation. Election Commission is under the control of ruling dispensation. CBI is under the control of ruling dispensation. Now one new council formed as suggested by Kartikeya Sharma for Council for Future Affairs. That will also be under the control of the ruling dispensation, with democracy in India itself coming to an end. But we wish to say a day will come when not the technology, the people of India will realize whether you capture media, whether you capture social media, whether you capture artificial intelligence, a day will come where you will face the heat for all what you have done and what you are doing. Because the actual reality of our country, of the poor, of the women of this country, they are facing it, and as long as they face it, whatever artificial intelligence you try to creep in, the reality will always remain the reality. So, one of the requests I'm making, although we make repeated requests, whoever we come, whatever subject we talk to, we know there is no effect. But we still continue to be the voice of India, because we believe if we don't speak up, it is the India that is losing. I can see RPN Singh ji, I can say the Jitin Prasada ji, I can see the ST members there. But a day will come when what we believe in and what the people of India wants will always be what our forefathers wanted India to be when India was established. So I conclude, Madam, by saying, Shakespeare once said, music is the food of love. Now, if artificial intelligence is for the good of the people, if it is for the good of the people, then artificial intelligence should get all its due. The government should take measures. I repeat, we have no hope in this government will do it. But I repeatedly say, the security factor, the job factor, all these are matters which actually matters to Indians and the youth of the country, and women specifically is worried about the security factor of all these artificial intelligence. So that is one request which I am making, and I hope this subject will be taken in its due seriousness. And I also wish to conclude by saying, Rajiv Gandhi, with the invoking technology factor, focused on what good people should get, but not on what Rajiv Gandhi's face should be everywhere. But what we are seeing now is the Prime Minister of those times and Prime Minister of these times are very different, but we hope that everyone should at least take message from Rajiv Gandhi where good of the people was the priority and not self-interest, and said that will always be counted. And I conclude, thank you very much.